glorify you, Jesus. Magnify you, Lord. You're worthy of the glory, Lord.
The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Last week, in our overview, we concluded with the fact that prayer should be the key that starts the car and not the airbag that we deploy after we've wrecked. And today, we will begin to look at the mentality of prayer. One of the things that, and I don't know if all of y'all experienced this. I know I have before, and I know my son being here, I know he has, but I'm sure at some point in time when you've had to go or needed to go ask your parents for something, you were scared to do it. you were kind of in wonder. You didn't know if they were going to say no. You didn't know if you was going to get the backhand. You didn't know what it was, because if it was something that you'd asked for more than once, but you still hadn't got it, and you were still pushing the issue, you when you go to ask that next time, you was bracing yourself. Because you didn't really know exactly how it was going to turn out. You didn't really understand what the consequences were going to be, if there were going to be any consequences, or if they were going to say yes. But in any case, you had this anxiety and wonder of what is about to go down when I go ask this. And that's important to understand when we start to talk about prayer, because as we start to get into the depth of what prayer will actually do on your behalf when you do it the proper way, you'll begin to have a confidence that you won't have to worry, because when you ask, you'll already know the answer. Because his word tells us, and we'll look at this later in the series, but his word tells us that the promises of God are yes and amen. They're yes and amen, and that is a vote of confidence when you understand how that actually works, because you'll know that anything that you're asking that's according to his promise and according to his will, the answer's already yes. So all you'll need to find out is the details on how to make it happen. And that's a big difference. It's a very big difference, because if you have the wrong reason or wrong motive when you're asking for something, do you really think you're going to get it? you see, because in a lot of cases, you don't even recognize your motive. And that's where we start to get into the issue. Because when you can't recognize what your motive is for actually seeking something, chances are it's the wrong motive. Not every time. And that's why there's a specific type of prayer for those kind of situations. But I'm talking about just in general, when you're really unsure of your motive of why you're doing what you're doing when it comes to asking God about something, you got a whole different mindset. You got a whole different belief. You got a whole different response. There's a lot of things going on. So I want to start out in the book of James chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. And today won't be as brutal on you, but as we get more in depth, it's going to get a little bit more painful. Because as we address the mentality that you need to have, the mentality of prayer, my goal in this part of the series is to have it to where you don't even feel like you have to call anybody else to ask them to pray for you, because you're going to already be so sure of your prayer when you pray that all you're going to be after is looking for the manifestation. That's what kind of strength you're supposed to have when you go to God in prayer and then you get done. You're supposed to feel empowered to be able to do whatever was in front of you that you were praying about before you got there. That's what Jesus was trying to show us when he was at the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was saying, hey, y'all just wait here. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to pray. Just stay awake for me. He goes, he prays. Lord, if there be any other way for this to be done. See, and usually when you think about it, the things that you're praying about, you're trying to get out of something. There's something that you're trying to get out of. Be it pain, be it work, be it something. There's something you're trying to get out of or get away from. And that's where you have to start being honest about your motives. Because usually when he's sending you through the rough stuff, sometimes that's the only way through it. So you're asking him to take the rough stuff away. And he's saying, no, I ain't going to take it away. I'll strengthen you to go through it, but I ain't going to take that away.
Right.
And then there's some stuff he'll take away.
Yep.
But the key is you have to find out what your motive is for your prayers before you go ask. Because if you're going to ask him to remove the pain, but you still want the strength, something's got to give. So something's got to give there. So that's what we're going to see here. So if you look at the book of James chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, he says this. James chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. Now I said that I would be light on you. I didn't say the word was going to be light on you. Okay? I won't have a lot of heavy stuff. I don't actually need to have a lot of heavy stuff, because once you start to see these scriptures for what they are, you'll understand why I won't need to say much. Because in verse 1 it says, from whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence? In other words, do they not stem from this, your lust, that war in your members? The fight that you got going on, you fighting with somebody because you want one thing and they want something else. You want one way and they want another way. Verse 2, he says, you lust and have not. You kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. You lust and have not. You kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. In other words, you know, after you felt like what you needed to do was bless them out in order to get things to go the way that they need to go, and then you bless them out and they still ain't going that way. That's what he's saying. He says, you fight and war, yet you have not because you ask not. Now I'm going to help you put this in context today. That's the goal out of this. He's saying you have not because you ask not. Now watch verse 3. He said you ask and receive not because you ask amiss, or you ask for it for the wrong reason. And look at what the reason is. That you may consume it upon your lust. He's saying your desire for this to change, or your desire for wanting this, is for you. He said that's what's going on when you ask and don't get it. Because that's what he's addressing. If you go back to that first part, he said you ask and receive not because you ask amiss. And then it tells you what the amiss is, that you may consume it upon your own lust. In other words, you're wanting this, I'll do an easy one. You're wanting this money. And he's saying the reason you're asking for this money and haven't gotten it is because you've got the wrong motive right now. And by you not having the right motive about it, that's why it ain't came yet. Once again, that's not saying that every motive that you have is bad. You may want to do it to help somebody. You may